Welcome back to Building Families in the Faith. I am Brian Johnson. This is my lovely wife, Rebecca. And we're excited and happy to be here today.
Yes, we are. We are. And last week we talked a little bit about if you want to have good children, if you want to have a successful family, the foundational basis, of course, is God, and then a good, strong marriage. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the marriage aspect today. What are our pitfalls in marriage? What can shake a marriage?
If we're aware a little bit more of the pitfalls, if we're aware of crucial time frames, I guess, and the major things to look out for, it'll help us to navigate our
Yes.
married life a little bit better, and to be aware of certain things that will come up. Many people go into marriage with the false understanding or the false thinking that a marriage is supposed to be perfect, a marriage is supposed to be great, and nothing ever is going to happen to discourage or to hinder that marriage. And the sign of the first fight, the sign of the first issues, many times cause people to be disillusioned with marriage, and unfortunately, quickly, many of them end up in a divorce within the first 2 years of marriage because of their misunderstanding of marriage.
That actually can begin right on the honeymoon, because people don't understand that you're merging two lives into one, and it isn't going to go as smoothly as you thought. And particularly if you have done the biblical thing and saved yourself for your life partner, the honeymoon can be a little bit tricky, and it can maybe not live up to your expectations.
Right.
Because unfortunately, even Christendom has been heavily influenced by Hollywood, and we have this idea of what should happen on a honeymoon, what should happen that first moment, and maybe it doesn't, because that's not reality.
The
and
idea of a
it
happy
can
ever
really
after
destroy.
is
Yes.
not. You can be happy and you can have joy, the joy of the Lord throughout your whole marriage, but you're not going to have every happy day.
Right. To always be happy is not reality. And we talked last time about the percentile of divorces being perpetrated by women, which is a very high percentile, and even higher by the college-educated women. And so really wanted to hit the main issues, the main reasons for divorce, and what's really going on, so that we can prepare and know and be ready to face it.
Right. We mentioned some of the numbers of what people say their cause for divorces are, and if you narrow that down to when you go and you actually look at the reasons behind, not just what they're saying, but when you look at the marriages and you look at the struggles, you basically can narrow down the top four causes of divorce are across the board. Top four causes of divorce, of course, most people don't know this, I'm sorry.
Yep.
But the top four reasons for divorce is financial, being one of them. Child rearing is surprisingly another one. The in-laws. We have so many jokes about in-laws and all that kind of stuff.
There's a reason for that.
The in-laws and dealing with your in-laws is one of the top causes for divorce, and the intimate life is also a top reason for divorce. So those four areas are big issues, big things that can cause struggles and difficulties in your married life. So if you are aware, first of all, that these four are the top issues, the top causes for divorce, then as you start your marriage, as you go into marriage, you should shore up these four areas.
Mm-hmm. So let's break it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not just gloss over it. So let's talk about money. Guess what? Surprise, surprise, you will have a financial setback at some point in your life.
Your promise was for richer, for poorer, for a reason.
Yeah, because you're going to have both.
Yes.
And you may only ever have poorer. Get over it. And truth be told, richer doesn't help because rich
No.
people actually divorce at a higher rate of
Yes.
speed than poor people. But regardless, you will have financial setbacks no matter how successful you are. It does not mean that you're bad people. It doesn't mean that your husband is a bad person. It's part of life. Financial downfalls.
The financial downfalls. The problem with divorcing over finances is not the reason. Is not because you have a lot of money or because you have a little money, too little money. The truth of the matter is the love of the money
Yes.
and the misunderstanding between you two of how to manage
Yes.
however much money you have is more the issue than the amount of money that you have.
Yes.
You can be poor and very happily together and not have financial struggles as far as the relationship goes. You could be poor and have a lot of financial struggles, yes, as far as paying for things or having nicer things, but being on the same page, you won't have that as a difficulty in your relationship. And so in your financial arena, you have to communicate with each other up front and be on the same page of what are your priorities in life financially. What do you want to accomplish? And of course, our finance, we can't have the love for money because the love of money is the root of all evil. And so if you have that love for money, you will have a lot of difficulties in your marriage. And the richer you get, actually, the easier it is to have the love for money. And that's one of the reasons why your millionaires are all divorced.
Right. And can I say this? If you're young, you're recently married or young in your marriage, women, we're nesters. Some women are skinflints, but most of us are concerned about our nest being attractive, our nest being comfortable, and we can spend money foolishly in an effort to create the magic home we've seen on TV. It isn't what's in it. If you're struggling with that, try and find a lady in your church that is a good garage sailor, secondhand shop buyer, those type of women to help you learn how to get yourself under control. And you have to be careful with that as well. There are women that are addicted to garage selling and spend thousands of dollars on absolute garbage they don't need.
Just because it's a good price in your mind doesn't mean it's something you should get.
It doesn't mean you need it. So think that through. But if you don't know how, if in your mind the only way to do anything is to go and buy it brand new somewhere, get with an older woman that has more experience. My husband's aunt is amazing. I mean, she could have a show on TV. This woman is amazing how she can find the most incredible things for just pennies at garage sales.
Yes.
And she's never been a wealthy woman, but her home is so tastefully decorated on a dime.
Yes.
And there is nothing wrong with learning how to do that. If you're a young bride, and let's be honest, in this day and age, most of our women don't know how to cook. They don't.
Sad reality of today.
And so what happens? You spend way more money on groceries than you actually need to be spending because you don't know how to cook. So everything has to be ready-made. And or you end up eating out way too much, which isn't good for your health anyway. It's not good for your family's health. And it will break the bank. And husbands are working hard and getting frustrated because we as women haven't learned. If you don't know how to cook, it's okay. I didn't know how to cook when I got married. I didn't. I knew how to barely boil water. I can make mac and cheese from a box, and I could heat up soup. That was the sum total of my skill as a newly married wife. I had to learn, and there's nothing wrong with asking people for help. This day and age, you can get on YouTube. YouTube it. Watch them make the recipe. Slow it down. Stop it. Do exactly what they do, and teach yourself how to cook so that you can bring your food budget down. Because I think very often, while women are the cause of divorce, women are the cause of divorce. Especially in the money area.
Learn to make a budget and live by that budget. Go to some practical ideas of grocery shopping is go with a list and don't go hungry.
Yes.
when you go to the grocery store and you're hungry, everything on the shelves are going to look appealing.
Yes, they do.
And
you
you're
want
going to
it
throw
all.
it, even if it's not on your list, you're going to throw it in your, it's going to be easier to throw it in your cart and spend a lot of money in your grocery list. Eat a snack if you have to before you go, or go right after a meal or something. But go grocery shopping when you're not hungry, and that way it's a whole lot easier to stick to your list, to the things that you know you need, instead of to what your hunger cravings right there are telling you to get.
Yeah. These are just some quick practical ideas. Let's move on to child rearing, because that is another issue where
Yes,
heads.
right,
But-
and we'll be dealing a lot with this more down the road, so we won't focus
just
too
kinda
much
go quickly over it.
about it right now. But you have to be on the same page.
Absolutely.
You have to determine what your philosophy is, or what you're going to be doing in your child rearing, and you have to be consistent, both of you together, not one doing one thing and the other doing the other thing.
Yes, and we'll get
And
way
we'll hit
more into
a
details.
whole lot more on that
in the
as we
future.
go. But
So,
your in-laws.
yeah, the in-laws, that can be a real nightmare.
And God knew this.
Yes.
We find in Genesis right off the bat, Adam and Eve don't even have in-laws, and God is telling him to leave and cleave.
Yeah, leave and cleave,
Why?
guys.
He was telling Adam and Eve that you need to let go of your kids when they're leaving and cleaving. God was already telling Adam and Eve from the beginning, okay, the marriage relationship, once they married, you need to take your hands off, and you need to stop butting in. You need to stop giving your opinions about everything. Now, as grandparents or as parents, we should always be available for counsel. We should always be there for our kids, but we shouldn't be sticking our fingers in their stuff.
And we're coming at this having in-laws and being in-laws. We
Right.
are the in-laws. And in-laws can really destroy a marriage, particularly mother-in-laws. I have to watch out as a mother-in-law to keep my mouth shut. There are moments when I might see our kids do something or their new spouses do something, and I'm like, oh, this is not
Not
going
the
to
way we
end
do
well.
it. Well, that's right. It's
But
not the way
that's
we
not
do
my
it,
business.
but it's the way they're doing it, and that's fine.
Keep your mouth shut, ladies.
Also, when you get married, especially when you're first married, it's so easy to compare
Yes.
your wife or your husband to your parents.
Yes.
And so that becomes very, even though the in-laws at that point are not directly causing the strife, but you comparing, like my wife said, when we first got married, she wasn't the best of cooks. And unfortunately, I wasn't wise enough, and so I would mention my mother's cooking. And that was not the right thing to do. And so we not only the strife that the in-laws themselves can cause on the relationship, but also you as a married couple, bringing in your in-laws or bringing in your family, your parents, and how they did it and how, this and that, will also bring, so indirectly, the in-laws
Right.
still causing great strife and contention there with the family.
And I would end on the in-laws with this, girls. When things go wrong, you don't run home.
Right.
That is no longer an option. That door has locked and shut. My kids know this. Other than arriving on the mission field and needing a place to stay till they find their own house, our doors are locked when it comes to their fight. Now, we will help them if they ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's staying at my house because they were having a fight and didn't make up. That's never going to happen. And don't you be the one running to mom and dad. And as a mother-in-law, don't you facilitate that either. So then the intimacy issue, and this covers so much, and this is just
Right. Like my wife said, if you go into marriage like you should have, and you're when impure and a virgin, especially right at the beginning, you're going to have a lot of misunderstandings. You're not going to know what's going on, and that's why it's so important to prepare, not in the practical arena, but in reading. There are many good books out there on the intimate life and
I
the
really
biblical.
recommend Sheet Music. That's a great book,
Sheet
guys.
Music, a
if
very good
you're-
book.
you
The
need
Gift of
this book.
Sex is also a good book
Yes,
on this
great book.
subject. And so before you get married, you need to prepare yourself. Again, not practically, but get the information, get the knowledge, whether it be through counsel from your parents, parents giving you information and teaching you, as we parents should be doing, and we'll talk more about that in the future as well. Whether it be through reading these books,
Yes.
To help you. And of course, the intimate life is not just the struggle of you two, but also pornography,
Yes.
and
that's such an issue today.
yes,
Both
yes.
with men and women. If there are women out there, I think we have really for too long just dressed this as a man's issue, and it's not. There's a huge number of women today addicted to pornography.
Yes.
And you can get help. You can get freedom from your pornography, man or woman.
Right.
And you need to address that.
Right. If you're addicted to pornography, or if you've looked at pornography, it changes your perception. It changes your philosophy. It changes how you look at your wife and how you look at your husband. And so, being addicted to that kind of thing will hinder your sex life, will hinder your intimate life. And so you need to get over that, and there's of course books on that, and there's go to your pastor, get counsel, get the help you need. But the intimate life, whether it be between the two of you, or having the wrong understanding of it, or not knowing how to do it, or things like that, your parents should be there to help you. If they're not, your pastor, can definitely help you. There are definitely good books out there to help you with that as well. And it's something that will grow. It's something that will get better and better as the longer you're married, the longer you grow together, the more your intimate life will flourish and will become a phenomenal thing in your married life.
And so, if you're aware of these danger zones, you can keep your eyes open. You can read books on the subject. You can plan ahead, and you can know. And you do have to just make this commitment. Husband and wife together for life,
Yes.
and it isn't going to matter what comes up.
Right.
And at these danger zones, be ready. There are some danger zones. Every time there's a major change in your life, you're in a danger zone.
Right. And we'll hit more on that next week.
We'll
But
talk about this. But be
if
prepared.
you're aware of the time frames, and we'll mention that, go into that in more details next week, and you're aware more of the topics, or the main weaknesses that tend to cause a divorce, and shore up and strengthen those areas, you'll already be putting a good groundwork there to having a solid marriage.
Yes, and that's so what your children need. They are looking to you for the answers, and you have to fight for your marriage to give them the solid foundation they need.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth the fight, it's worth the effort, it's worth the decisions that steps have to be taken. And don't ever be embarrassed to seek for help.
Yes.
I think some people
Our
are
pride
embarrassed.
so often
Please
gets in the
don't.
way, and your pride to communicate with each other, asking for forgiveness. That's a huge issue with marriages, and your lack of willingness to go and get counsel, or get help from your parents, or get help from your pastors, or your peers are not the best people to go for counsel. They're going through the same, even though you can't tell necessarily. They're just not the best people to go to. Go to mature Christians. The world is not the place to go. Psychology is not the place to go. The Bible is the place to go, and those who know the Bible well. So don't let your pride destroy your marriage, and be willing during the struggles and the hardships of your marriage, which you will have. Be willing to go to people who have a solid marriage and get counsel in those areas that you need it.
Absolutely.
So looking forward to next week, continuing the same topic, more this next week about the main time frames, not the main topics or issues, but the main time frames that divorces come into the family. So be with us next week for Building Families in the Faith. God bless.